Deep within the vaults of forgotten knowledge lies a tale that challenges our understanding of history. J.R.R. Tolkien, the visionary mind behind The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, crafted a world that may hold more truth than meets the eye. Legend has it that Tolkien stumbled upon ancient books from Finland and Sweden, immersing himself in their contents for hours on end. Inspired by this wealth of historical knowledge, he crafted his epic tales, claiming they were based on a hidden history that we are yet to uncover. One specific book that Tolkien mentions playing a big role in Tolkien's creative process: the Red Book of Hergest. The Red Book of Hergest is a medieval Welsh manuscript that contains a collection of ancient Welsh poetry, legends, and historical texts. It is one of the most important literary treasures of Welsh history, offering a glimpse into the rich mythology and traditions of the land. While Tolkien did not directly mention this book as an influence, its significance in preserving ancient stories and folklore cannot be ignored. Intriguingly, Welsh mythology shares similarities with Tolkien's tales, from heroic quests to larger-than-life characters. The echoes of ancient Welsh tales can be found in Middle-earth. The Red Book of Hergest serves as a link between the ancient stories of Wales and Tolkien's imaginative world. Tolkien apparently revealed to his friends, one of them being C.S. Lewis, that his tales were not mere escapism, but were rooted in a reality obscured by the passage of time. He expressed frustration when people dismissed his stories as allegory or metaphor, angrily asserting that they were, in fact, based on a profound knowledge he had gotten from those ancient books. Tolkien strongly believed that his stories were based on real events, adding an intriguing twist to his famous works. According to him, the events in Lord of the Rings actually took place in Europe about 6,500 years ago. In his mind, the Irish people represented the hobbits, while the elves were like the ancient Nords. Tolkien saw connections between his fantasy world and real cultures, bringing a sense of mystery and history to his writings. He wanted to show that there was more to his stories than just made-up tales. He believed that they tapped into a hidden truth, something ancient and significant. By exploring Tolkien's ideas, we are invited to consider the boundaries between imagination and reality. His stories become a way to discover the secrets of our past and understand how they've shaped our world. Sauron, the main antagonist in Lord of the Rings, could be seen as embodying a Saturnian power that sought to dominate and control. Similar to Sargon, who played a part in the invention of timekeeping, Sauron's influence might symbolize a force that aims to enslave and drain our planet's energy. Sargon, or Sargon of Akkad, was a historical figure of the 24th century BCE and the founder of the Akkadian Empire in Mesopotamia. He rose from a commoner to overthrow the king of Kish and unify city-states under his rule. Sargon's empire brought political stability, cultural advancements, and economic progress to the region. While his exact role in inventing timekeeping is not well documented, ancient Mesopotamia is known for early systems of time measurement. Sargon's reign marked a period of growth in writing, literature, law, and the adoption of the Akkadian language. His contributions left a lasting impact on the ancient world. This association between Sauron and Saturn, represented by the eye motif in the story, suggests a manipulation of perception and a blinding truth. The Saturn cube, a symbol associated with restriction and control, could be seen as a metaphor for the artificial reality imposed by Sauron's corrupt system. Furthermore, Tolkien's belief that psychic abilities and spiritual gifts were abundant in a pre-Sauron era suggests a shift in humanity's relationship with themselves and the natural world. With the rise of Sauron's influence, these abilities became lost or suppressed, leading to a disconnection from our true potential. Legends and ancient texts recount tales of prehistoric giants, known as Nephilim, who once roamed the earth. These extraordinary beings, mentioned in biblical accounts, such as Genesis, have captured the imaginations of people for centuries. Astonishingly, archaeological discoveries have unearthed bones of humanoid creatures, ranging from 9 to over 50 feet in height. However, these remarkable finds have been shrouded in secrecy, hidden away in undisclosed archives, away from public scrutiny. There are even claims that the Vatican has played a role in suppressing these discoveries and withholding access to giant skeletons and other lost historical artifacts. While the accuracy of these claims remains speculative, the notion of a vast collection of giant remains held by the Vatican adds to the intrigue surrounding these enigmatic beings. Interestingly, the existence of giants is not limited to biblical accounts alone. Ancient Sumerian texts, such as the Enuma Elish and the Epic of Gilgamesh, also make reference to these colossal beings, referring to them as Anunnaki. Similar tales of giants can be found in the folklore and mythologies of various cultures worldwide. The existence of such consistent narratives across different cultures raises intriguing questions about the possibility of giants' existence in ancient times. Could these legends and historical accounts contain bits of truth? Could the existence of giant skeletons and the Vatican's alleged involvement in suppressing this information provide clues to a hidden chapter of human history? Could it be that the mythical creatures we associate with folklore and legend, such as centaurs, minotaurs, and dragons, were once real, but their physical evidence is concealed from the public eye? Perhaps the fossils of these creatures, along with other genetic experiments, are locked away in hidden chambers, waiting to be discovered. There is even a theory that suggests that Jehovah, the deity in the Hebrew Bible, may have been depicted and described as a dragon. This theory, put forth by Paul Wallace, offers an alternative interpretation of certain biblical passages. Paul Wallace is a well-known biblical scholar with expertise in deciphering the symbolism and meaning within the Hebrew Bible. He argues that Yahweh exhibits dragon-like characteristics in certain passages, symbolizing power, protection, and authority. Here are just a few examples. Exodus 19:18. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. Psalm 104:3. He makes the clouds his chariots, and rides on the wings of the wind. 2 Samuel 22:9. Smoke rose from his nostrils. Consuming fire came from his mouth, burning coals blazed out of it. These dragon-like elements are primarily associated with divine warrior imagery and the protective nature of Yahweh. Many scholars argue that these dragon characteristics is merely symbolic, but an interesting case of a dragon tail we've never thought of before. Those who argue for the existence of dragons in the past suggest that, just like bird bones, which don't really survive the test of time due to their hollow and thin structure, also the reason for them being able to fly, no dragon-like skeletons have been found. But why don't we then see any other descendants of dragons, giant people, or similar magical creatures? Was it because the oxygen levels were higher and the environment was different, or did something catastrophic happen that kind of pressed the reset button? The Epic of Gilgamesh originates from ancient Mesopotamia, one of the cradles of human civilization. The story of Utnapishtim and the flood is found in the 11th tablet of this epic. Utnapishtim was born of the impending flood by the god Enki, also known as Ea, who was known for his wisdom and craftsmanship. Enki held a special favor for mankind, and specifically Utnapishtim. He gave him specific instructions on the ark's construction, including its size and layouts. Following these instructions, Utnapishtim built the ark and loaded it with his family, craftsmen, and all the animals of the field, ensuring their survival when the flood came. The biblical story of Noah is found in the book of Genesis, in the Hebrew Bible. Noah was a righteous man, found favor with God. God, seeing the wickedness of man, decided to cleanse the earth with a flood, but wanted to preserve Noah, his family, and all the animals. God gave Noah detailed instructions on how to build the ark, including its dimensions and materials, and instructed him to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female. Noah obeyed God's command built the ark, and ushered in the animals. In both stories, the divine entities show favor to the chosen individuals, Utnapishtim and Noah. They provide specific instructions on the construction of a vessel that would survive the flood and the collection of a diverse group of animals. The two tales also depict the chosen ones as obedient figures who follow the divine instructions to the letter, resulting in their survival. The identity of God in the biblical accounts is clear as the monotheistic God of Abraham. The god who warns Utnapishtim in the Gilgamesh epic is Ea, one of several gods in the Mesopotamian pantheon, also known as Enki in Sumerian mythology. In the Mesopotamian context, Ea was known as the god of wisdom, water, magic, and a crafty trickster who often had a more favorable view of humanity than his divine counterparts. An interesting theory on Enki and his counterpart Enlil is that Enlil is more of a cruel god, punishing those who do not worship him, and seeing humans as just a labor force. Could be the same character as Yahweh from the Bible. They both share similar stories and characteristics. It almost seems as if the Bible have interpreted the word for God in passages and so on that might be talking about specific divine deities, whereas in the Sumerian mythology, different Anunnaki leaders and generals. But let's get back to the topic of ancient floods. The striking similarities in these narratives led many scholars to believe that these stories may have a common origin or that they have influenced each other over time. These flood stories could have traveled through trade routes or cultural interactions, adopting new forms and interpretations in different cultures and religious contexts. It's a captivating example of how narratives can permeate cultures and transcend geographical and temporal boundaries. During the period known as the youngerdryas, a fascinating theory proposed by researcher Graham Hancock suggests a cataclysmic event occurred around 12,800 years ago. This theory aligns with Tolkien's timeline for Middle-earth and the concept of a great flood that engulfed the Earth. According to the youngerdryas theory, a comet impact or series of impacts may have struck the Greenland ice sheet, triggering the end of the Ice Age. This catastrophic event resulted in massive flood waves spreading across the planet, causing widespread devastation. It is speculated that advanced civilizations, including the legendary Atlantis, could have been wiped out by these catastrophic floods. In support of this theory, in 2018, a significant discovery was made, a crater on the Greenland's glacier that dates back to approximately 12,000 years ago. This finding provides further credence to Graham Hancock's proposition, suggesting that a comet strike indeed occurred during the youngerdryas period. Plato tells of an advanced civilization that existed about 9,000 years before the time of Solon, who fell out of favor with the gods and sank into the ocean. Solon was a descendant of Plato who lived 600 years before Christ, which make the date to 11,600 years ago, just so happened to coincide with the youngerdryas. According to Plato's dialogues, the story of Atlantis was conveyed to Solon during his visit to Egypt. The dialogues suggest that Solon received this story from Egyptian priests, who maintained that they were preserving ancient knowledge within their temples. Specifically, the city of Sais in the Nile Delta is mentioned as the place where Solon communicated with the priests. So, the youngerdryas theory, along with the discovery of the crater, strengthened Plato's story amongst many other stories from cultures around the world, and the possibility that an ancient global flood and its aftermath shaped human history and mythology. We started with Tolkien, and here we are, talking about an ancient catastrophic flood. Where will we go next? The only obvious choice, of course, is space. According to the Sumerian texts, there is an intriguing mention of the Anunnaki, a race that some believe crash-landed on planet Earth after a space war and went on to rule over mankind, even having a hand in creating humans. Interestingly, the first man they created was named Adamu, which bears a striking resemblance to another familiar story, doesn't it? What's even more captivating is that these extraterrestrial beings didn't confine their exploits to Earth alone. They also left traces of their presence on Mars and the enigmatic celestial body known as Nibiru. Now, let's talk about those ice ages that occur relatively frequently, from Earth's perspective at least. After all, our lovely planet has been around for quite a long time. Geologists, armed with ice samples from glaciers worldwide, have made some remarkable discoveries. Through careful analysis, they have found compelling evidence that ice ages follow a cyclical pattern. But how can this be? Well, there are numerous theories, but one cosmically intriguing idea has piqued their interest. Imagine if Earth is orbiting something with an incredibly long orbit, causing it to shrink close every 12,000 years or so. It's like a slow dance in the cosmos. Surprisingly, as we learn for physicists and the wealth of knowledge on Wikipedia, up to 85% or even all stars in the known universe are what scientists call binary stars. These celestial couples orbit each other in an elliptical fashion, and when they come into close proximity, they create quite a cosmic spectacle. Along with them, their entourage of planets, moons, and cosmic debris tags along for the ride. This celestial choreography, with its gravitational tug-of-war, can trigger extraordinary events on these celestial bodies. What if the planet known as Nibiru, mentioned in the Anunnaki texts, is actually part of this mysterious cosmic dance? It almost seems more improbable that our Sun, the star of our solar system, doesn't have a companion star it's orbiting. Many scientists believe that most, if not all, stars have a stellar partner. Although we won't delve into the specifics, it's intriguing to consider the possibility that our twin star might be what scientists refer to as a brown dwarf star, which doesn't emit visible light, making it incredibly challenging to detect. In the grand cosmic scheme, our Sun will also eventually transform into a dwarf star. This notion adds another layer of fascination to the cyclical nature of ice ages on our beloved Earth. As we uncover the hidden wonders of ancient times, we can't help but wonder if there's truth behind the stories that inspired Tolkien. Did the ancient world of Middle-earth once exist, with towering world trees turned to stone? Did giants walk the earth alongside humans? And did mythical beings like hobbits and dwarfs have their place in history? Maybe we once had a deep connection to the nature of reality and possessed incredible powers like sorcery. And what's about the Anunnaki? Did they rule over humanity and save us from destruction, as ancient tales like Noah's Ark and the Epic of Gilgamesh suggest? Was Jehovah, or Yahweh, a dragon, as is described as in the Bible according to archdeacon and theological educator Paul Wallis? Could the phrase, "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away," mark the beginning of their own story before they came to Earth? If any of these stories hold a shred of truth, who knows the answers? Who keeps the truth hidden, and why? As we conclude our journey, let's embrace the endless possibilities that lie beyond what we know. There's so much more to uncover in the realm of ancient mysteries, waiting for those with open minds and a thirst for the extraordinary to unravel. And hey, if Space Daddy comes to visit you, ask him if he can visit me too, to lecture me on all that he knows. In this video, I've tried to connect the dots on the surface to deep and interesting topics that inspires me. Let this video serve as a summary of that. And if any of you guys would like to hear more about anything that has been brought up, please let us know in the comments. We are still a very small channel, but we try to act like we're as big and as serious as they come. We put our hearts and minds into this to bring content that we ourselves would love to watch. And if you have any requests or ideas for a video, or want us to cover anything from this video a little extra, let us know in the comments. And as Bilbo Baggins once said, the journey doesn't end here.